The Citigo is Skoda's first city car, and it shares a lot in common with the Volkswagen Up and Seat Me. But it's not just its Volkswagen Group siblings that are its main rivals. Cars like the excellent Hyundai i10 are also vying for top spots in what's becoming a highly competitive category. Available in both 3 and 5-door forms and with manual and automatic options, the Citigo is more versatile than most of the competition. You've got a choice of two 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol engines with either 59 or 74 brake horsepower. The lesser powered version is better suited to town driving, but if you find yourself out on the motorway, then the more powerful 74 brake horsepower version is the one to go for. There's an automatic gearbox available with both engines, but it is a little bit sluggish, so it's probably best to avoid it unless you really need an auto. The Citigo does a great job smoothing the road surface, riding well over speed bumps, broken surfaces and potholes. It remains comfortable at higher speeds on A roads and motorways, where the Skoda feels exceptionally composed for a small car. The optional sport suspension makes things a little lumpier. It's not uncomfortable, but one to avoid. It has nicely weighted steering and tight body control, making the Citigo one of the best handling cars in its class. It's so good, in fact, it could teach bigger, more expensive cars a thing or two. Unlike many rivals, it doesn't get tossed about on motorways, and crucially for a city car, it's still effortless to drive around town. There's a little road noise at higher speeds, but is impressively hushed by city car standards. While the engines are 3-cylinder units, they're not especially noisy, even when worked hard. Only the automatic gearbox breaks the spell. It causes the car to lurch between shifts and is slow to respond when you press the accelerator hard. It's relatively easy to get a decent driving position, although S models do without a seat height adjustment. As with most of its rivals, the steering wheel adjusts for height only rather than reach, and depending on your seating position, it can obscure your view of the Speedo. Visibility is generally good, though it is a little obstructed to the rear. It's better than rivals though, and the boxy shape and short overhangings make judging the car's limits easy. You can add rear parking sensors to all models above the entry-level S. There's a bit of a mix of equipment levels across the range. A CD player and radio is standard across the range, but if you pay a little bit more, you get this 5-inch touchscreen which is removable, and it controls your Bluetooth and your satellite navigation. DAB is an optional extra on all models, but there's no USB socket on any Citigo, so you'll need a 12-volt socket adapter to keep your phone on charge. Like many city cars, the Citigo's interior features a few hard and unforgiving materials. However, the plastics are textured in such a way that they don't look or feel too cheap, and the build quality is sound. Entry-level cars have a plastic steering wheel that looks just a little too cheap, but this is resolved on higher spec models. For a car with such dinky dimensions, it's surprisingly spacious inside too. There's plenty of head and legroom for all occupants, that is providing the person you sat in front of isn't too tall, and there's a decent amount of elbow room. There are only 2 seats in the back though, while some rivals have 3. Getting into the back is a squeeze on the 3-door cars, but the 5-door is obviously much better. Storage space is good by city car standards. There are wide, deep pockets and a good sized cup holder, albeit just the one. The small shelf dividing the open cubbyhole behind the gearbox is another practical touch though, while the glove box provides enough room for the car's manual and the removable infotainment system if you've fitted it, but that's about it. The Citigo's boot is generous for its class with no wheel arch intrusion. It's actually a good shape. A variable height boot floor is an option on all models too. The rear seat backs lie at a slight angle when dropped, but it's not enough to cause any real headaches. But the parcel shelf isn't attached to the tailgate, so it has to be raised and lowered manually. The Citigo is cheaper than the virtually identical Volkswagen Up or Seat Me, so it makes perfect sense if you're on a budget. It's great compared with most other city cars too, and resale values are strong, if not class leading. Running costs are also tiny, though the green tech versions are the only tax-free models. All of the engines prove economical in our real-world true MPG tests. While the Citigo itself didn't feature in our most recent ownership satisfaction survey, but the almost identical VW Up did, and was the most reliable car in its class. The standard 3-year warranty is short of the Hyundai's best-in-class 5-year one, but it's still good. It's also scored 5 stars in its 2011 Euro NCAP crash test, netting 89% for adult protection. The Skoda Citigo is one of the best city cars around. It has all of the same qualities that make the Volkswagen Up such a good prospect, but it's cheaper to buy than its twin, making it a very compelling choice indeed. For more information, search for the Skoda Citigo on whatcar.com, and to keep up to date with all our latest video road tests, click subscribe.